This morning as pressure mounts to roll back those stay-at-home orders. Thousands flock to beaches in California. Protesters stage rallies across the country.
This is America!
All this as the nation's top health expert says social distancing should last for months. And the CDC adds 6 new symptoms to their list. And President Trump steps back from those daily briefings after backlash over his comments about treating the virus with disinfectant.
Overseas, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson going back to work after battling COVID-19 in the ICU as hard-hit Spain partially lifts its lockdown. Children walking the streets for the first time in 6 weeks. And the big headline out of China, officials claiming there are no more coronavirus patients in Wuhan
Also
hospitals.
this morning, the major university making plans to bring back all its students in the fall. Will other schools follow suit? As millions of families across the country must decide their plan by May 1st.
International mystery. Where is Kim Jong-un? The North Korean leader last seen in public 2 weeks ago. The new clues and the growing rumors about his health.
And slam dunk. The Last Dance breaking records and taking fans behind the scenes of Michael Jordan and the Bulls' intense road to victory. What MJ did when Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman didn't come back from Las Vegas. And one of the members of that championship-winning team, Scott Burrell, joins us live.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. We hope everyone had a safe and wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us here at GMA.
That's right. And Robin, I know that there is some very good news you have about that Navy ship here in New York.
Some great news, Amy. That's right. You're looking live at the USNS Comfort. That is the last patient on the ship was discharged over the weekend. That ship is getting ready to set sail again. That is such encouraging news, George. Good morning to you.
It sure is, Robin. Good morning to you. We're seeing that curve go down in New York, a sign of real progress here. And here's the latest from across the country right now. The United States now is reporting more than 965,000 confirmed corona cases, closing in on 1 million. More than 100,000 people have recovered from the virus.
Yes, have recovered. And we're going to begin our coverage in New York where officials are unveiling a phased approach to reopening as more states begin to lift restrictions all across the country. Tom Yamas is outside the USNS Comfort with the latest. Good morning, Tom.
Robin, good morning to you. And a sign things are turning around here in New York. As you mentioned, the naval hospital ship, the Comfort, expected to depart as early as this week. The ship treated nearly 200 patients over 3 weeks. And as you mentioned, the last one being discharged just yesterday. This as we're seeing growing signs across the country that we're entering a new phase of this pandemic.
This morning, a tale of two Americas. One opening for business, the other still under stay-at-home orders. In Georgia, the options are growing. First gyms, nail salons, and barbershops. And today, movie theaters can open, along with restaurants with limited dine-in service.
As you can hear, our phone in the background won't stop ringing.
States like South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Alaska also slowly opening for business. Today, they'll get more company. Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Minnesota, Colorado, and Montana all launching limited reopenings. But some are wondering at what cost. The U.S. death toll from COVID-19 now surpassing 50,000.
This was something, like I say, hit our community like a bomb when they hit. And people were dying one after another. It's scary to me. And I said something to some of the people, why you don't have masks on.
In California, crowds flocking to open Orange County beaches amid the weekend's heat wave.
This is America!
In San Diego, police arresting at least 3 protesters for violating stay-at-home orders. And in Chicago, police investigating after a video surfaced showing a crowded house party. Across the country, demonstrators rallying, armed protesters in St. Paul, and scenes like this in Providence and Las Vegas. In states like Maryland, which saw its deadliest day over the weekend since the outbreak began, the governor warning it's too early.
I want to get our economy back open just as soon as we can, but I want to do so in a safe way.
Michigan's governor defending her extension of the state's stay-at-home order to May 15th.
We know that no one wants a second wave. It would be devastating for the health of our people and for our economy. And so we've got to be really smart as we re-engage.
In New York, the epicenter of the outbreak, where the death toll is nearing 17,000. Governor Cuomo announcing a two-phase plan to reopen the state, but without setting a date.
Nobody's giving anybody a date.
Robust testing still a problem. Dr. Deborah Birx, one of the nation's top health experts, saying the U.S. still needs a breakthrough innovation when it comes to rapidly testing people. Many may return to a whole new type of office, with instructions and boundaries everywhere.
Desks will be further apart. We'll see, hopefully, color coding on the floor as to where you walk and where you don't walk.
This real estate company testing new layouts to make sure employees are safe in the workplace.
The one thing I can tell you for sure is that the new normal will be anything but normal.
Now, as states and businesses slowly start to reopen, there is one aspect of these measures we may have to be living with for several more months. Dr. Birx, who we just heard from in our report, says social distancing is likely to stay in place through the summer, George.
Yeah, we're waiting for the recalibration of those guidelines on May 1st. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. We're going to the White House now, where President Trump and his team are in damage control mode as they try to contain the fallout from his suggestion that injecting disinfectant might be a way to kill the coronavirus. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega tracking all the latest. And Cecilia, we have the president lashing out on Twitter all through Sunday and his team considering a new communication strategy.
Yeah, George, good morning. That's exactly right. The president is livid about the coverage of these briefings, which critics say have really become more campaign rallies than a vehicle to deliver accurate information during this pandemic. And the president tweeted that they're not worth his time or his effort. But we've already started to see a shift. Friday's briefing was his shortest yet. It was just 20 minutes. He took no questions. This weekend, there were no briefings. Even people close to the president are saying that these briefings are now doing him more harm than good. Advisors are telling him that he's becoming overexposed and that he might be hurting his chances for re-election. So now we're talking about this push to change the strategy that's coming from inside the White House. There are these internal discussions about having him focus more on the economy and this post-pandemic recovery. Supporters feel like that's really where he's his strongest. They want to see him scale back on the briefings and possibly, when social distancing allows it, to get back out on the road. But George, we've said this so many times before. This is a president who calls his own shots, for better or worse. There is a briefing on the schedule today. We should note we will see George if he attends.
We will be watching. Okay, Cecilia, thanks very much. Let's bring in Chris Christie now, former Republican governor of New Jersey, ally of President Trump. And Chris, thanks for joining us again this morning. You've laid out actually a 5-point strategy in the Washington Post to address this crisis, both at the national level and in the states. And you say it should start with using the Defense Production Act to really accelerate and expand testing across the country.
Yeah, George, I think that the president and the country has had great success with the Defense Production Act and the production of ventilators and personal protective equipment. We've seen that. We saw some great news stories over the weekend about ventilators being delivered across the country through the efforts of General Motors and Ventec and Ford as well. And so there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that as well on the issue of testing. Not only just tests themselves, but all the things you need to implement these tests. I think Governor Hogan was great in getting 500,000 tests from South Korea, but we need to arm each governor, let them manage the program, but arm them with the supplies that they need.
And Chris, how about the White House? We definitely have seen, as the president ramped up these briefings, his poll numbers settled down, and he clearly took a hit after those comments about disinfectant. How should he recalibrate his communication strategy right now?
Well, listen, I think that the president is always going to continue to be his own communications director, George. I think we've seen that over the last 3.5 years. But I think what the American people need from the president now is for him to appear at some of these briefings off the top, 10 or 15 minutes of announcing whatever needs to be announced that day, take a question or two from the press, and then leave the rest of it to the vice president and the people who are the relevant experts that day. I think an hour and a half or 2 hours of anybody every day is not going to be great for their political standing, no matter who they are and what they do. The American people are shut in for the most part, and they don't need to see the same person every day for 2 hours. And so I think, the president can scale that back, still be a presence, communicating important things, but not having to be on for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
And if you were still governor of New Jersey, how would you handle protesters if they came out in your state?
Listen, I think that people have every right to protest things that they oppose, but they've got to maintain the rules as they stand, whether it's in New Jersey or any other state right now, in terms of appropriate social distancing from each other, wearing masks outside, those kind of things, and they can still peacefully protest. But they still have to follow all the rules. But people should still, they're not giving up their First Amendment rights, George, during all this, and I don't think they should. But that's why we lay out in that Washington Post column you referenced yesterday, a plan to be able to give people hope. We have to restore the American way of life, and we need to start doing it now. This cannot be purely a medical decision. The medical part of it is a big part, but it is not the only part, and people need to get back to work, and we can do so in safe conditions that have changed from before the epidemic to after.
Chris Christie, thanks very much.
Now to the latest on the pandemic overseas. China is reporting that COVID hospitalizations in Wuhan are down to 0. And in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is back at work after a tough battle with the virus. James Longman has more in London. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is back at work, but he does have a lot of work to do. There's been a lot of criticism about how his government has tackled this crisis, and there doesn't seem to be a plan as yet of how he plans to get this country back to work.
This morning, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is finally back at work after 2 weeks recuperating from the coronavirus, which put him in the ICU for 3 nights. Britain badly needs its leader back, still without a clear plan out of the crisis.
I entirely share your urgency. It's the government's urgency. And yet we must also recognise the risk of a second spike.
He'll have to find a way to follow some of Europe's hardest hit countries as they begin to ease restrictions. Spain partially lifting its national lockdown, children now finally able to get a small taste of freedom, walking the streets for the first time in 6 weeks. Over the weekend, the country reported its lowest one-day COVID-19 death toll in over a month. But those numbers are still striking, nearly 300 fatalities. And it's far from normal. Children are only allowed to accompany a parent for essential errands. Playing outside is still prohibited. At the epicenter of the virus in Wuhan, Chinese officials say there are no more COVID-19 patients in their hospitals. But now, with fears of a second wave, precautions are being taken across the country. In Beijing, gyms and swimming pools are still shut down, and temperature checks are mandatory before entering businesses.
Meanwhile, Australia is rolling out a tracking app. It's called COVID Safe, and it uses Bluetooth technology to monitor the virus in the population. The Prime Minister says that when 10 million people have downloaded it, the country will be ready to go back to work. And as of this morning, 1 million people have downloaded that app. Amy?
All right, James Longman, everyone trying to figure out how to reopen. So let's bring in our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jennifer Ashton. And Dr. Ashton, the WHO over the weekend said that surviving COVID-19 right now, they don't believe necessarily prevents you from being infected again. So when can we expect to know the answer to that? How long do these types of studies take?
Amy, the short answer is it could be as long as years. We have to remember this virus is barely 5 months old, and we need a considerable track record or history of period of time to study this. We do know, though, based on other coronaviruses, same family, that you can become temporarily immune, and then that immunity wanes. Also, when you talk about these antibodies, we don't yet know whether it's possible to have high level, but antibodies that are weakly effective at blocking re-exposure or reinfection. So there's still a lot to learn when it comes to long-term immunity.
And then we hear from Dr. Birx, the coronavirus task force coordinator, saying over the weekend that she thinks we need a huge breakthrough in testing for the country to get back to normal. What exactly is she talking about? What does she have in mind?
Well, Amy, I think that at the top of that list is the understanding implicitly that we're not just talking about the ability to test one person one time. Because remember, if you test negative, you might need to be sequentially tested multiple times in the future until we have a vaccine. We also need a test to be fast, cheap, accessible, and accurate. So ultimately, like a home pregnancy test, and we're not there yet.
All right, Dr. Jen Ashton, we appreciate it. Thank you. Robin?
All right, Amy, thank you. Now to the other global mystery right now. Where is North Korean leader Kim Jong-un? He hasn't been seen in public for more than 2 weeks now. Ian Pannell is in London, has the latest on all that for us. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. That's right. The South Koreans are saying that Kim Jong-un is alive and well, but as you say, he hasn't been seen in public for more than a fortnight, and so those doubts and concerns about his whereabouts and his health are still going on.
This morning, growing questions surrounding North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. It's now over 2 weeks since he was last seen in public, with rumours and speculation about his health swirling. According to state media, the leader was last seen in public April 11th, attending a meeting. However, just 4 days later, April 15th, Kim was notably absent from key celebrations marking the birth of his grandfather, North Korea's founder, Kim Il-sung. This isn't the first time he's dropped from public view, disappearing for 6 weeks in 2014 and re-emerging with a cane after apparently recovering from ankle surgery. Now a South Korean official telling ABC News they believe the North's supreme leader is residing outside of Pyongyang with aides in a normal state. The special advisor to the South Korean president also insisting Kim Jong-un is alive and well. Amidst growing speculation over Kim's health, there's now greater scrutiny on the role of his younger sister, Kim Yo-jong.
Kim seems to trust his sister. He has been with her in public more often to show his confidence in her.
She was by her brother's side when he met with President Trump. And last year, the world catching a rare, revealing glimpse of the siblings. Japanese TV showing the North Korean leader smoking a cigarette while his sister, rumored to be a potential successor, held an ashtray.
The danger is if Kim dies tomorrow, there's no clear succession plan. There's the potential for an intense internal power struggle because no one has been anointed to succeed him.
Now, given the coronavirus pandemic, of course, the Koreans could just be being cautious, keeping Kim out of harm's way. But I think until he appears again in public, then those concerns about his fate and that of this nuclear-armed nation are going to persist. Michael?
All right, thank you, Sylvain. A lot of people waiting to see when he shows up, or if he does. So now we're going to go to the frontline workers who are showing their support for one another. Take a look at this heartwarming moment from the Laconia Police and Fire Departments in New Hampshire, making their heart with their vehicles, showing their gratitude for the healthcare workers at Lakes Region General Hospital during one of the evening shift changes. The first responders said the healthcare heroes are the heart and soul in this battle, and we can't agree any more than that. So we are also following a lot of other headlines this morning, including major universities planning to welcome students back in the fall as millions of families decide if it's safe to send their kids away to college.
And then trending big overnight, The Last Dance. What happened when Michael Jordan found Dennis Rodman in Vegas, and much more.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But anyway.
Nope, tomorrow we're going to tell. Or at least Michael Jordan's going to tell. Let's go to Ginger, who's at home.
Hey, Amy, Michael, good morning to you. You know, it's cold in my basement and it's cold outside, all behind this snow in parts of the Northeast. Around a foot or more already reported in upstate New York. This picture from Vermont, where just a couple of fresh inches of snow just has to remind you it is April 27th. But yes, this is relatively normal. It was flying there in the Catskills up there. Now I want to show you what's going to happen. When this pulls away, it's going to be windy and cold. But the next big storm we have to be concerned about is the severe weather from Texas up to Iowa tomorrow. Tornadoes and big hail possible. We're going to get into that and the heat wave soon in the Southwest. But your local weather comes up in 30 seconds. And first, we've got to get to those spring-like cities. Brought to you by Zyrtec.
Hey, allergy muddlers. It's here. Do your sneezes turn heads? Try Zyrtec. Zyrtec starts working hard at hour 1 and works twice as hard when you take it again the next day. Zyrtec, muddle no more.
And try Children's Zyrtec for consistently powerful relief of your kids' allergies.
Our morning has been a little wet, but skies will start clearing. We'll have a gusty northwesterly wind taking hold, so you'll really need the warm jacket today. 60 degrees by 3 p.m., so kids will be okay with their sidewalk chalk, but rain chances going back up all week long. Wednesday and Thursday, in fact, looking pretty stormy on Thursday right now. We'll have our warmest day out of the work week coming your way on Wednesday, the high 73. The wettest right now Thursday. Those showers linger into Friday, your first day of May. Make it a great day.
We live in uncertain times. However, there is one thing you can be certain of: the men and women of the United States Postal Service. We're here to deliver cards and packages from